lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Oh man, the comments are already blowing up.
Oh, I know, and Vince coming in asking me if I saw a special message he sent me. I did, and it was something I was going to talk about.
You got a secret message?
Yeah, dude, me and Vince are homies, man.
Oh, man. Well, welcome to the Drive-In Speakerbox. It's another Monday night. It's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're live on the Facebooks, the Twitches, and the YouTubes if you're tuning in and checking us out there, or we're on wherever you find your favorite podcasts. I know we might be a couple episodes behind, but that's my fault because the producer hasn't been around in a minute, but he's in the studio tonight, so we're... yeah, there he is over there doing his thing. And, yeah, so anyway, going in here in the comments, I'm your host, the Boom Operator.
And I'm the Grip.
And Vince says that I never respond.
Yeah,
so
that's why y'all can't be cool friends.
Man, well, because, it's a pandemic and I own a bar, man.
Well, yeah.
Just like life is weird
And
for me
life
right
is
now.
weird. And I've been pulling a Boom Operator, I guess, because it took me several days to check that whisper, and I'm sorry, Vince. I have been busy as well, but since he has already brought it up, one of the things that happened since we have been gone this last week,
we've been gone.
coming into the new year, Happy New Year, everybody, 2021.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Is that Hulu and Viacom CBS announced that 14 networks of Viacom CBS will be available on the Hulu with live TV subscription.
Right when you canceled
Right
your
when
live
I canceled,
TV.
Which is fine. Screw it. Who cares?
Screw Hulu.
Because it's
Screw
what it has is it has MTV in several of its iterations.
And MTV hasn't been good in 20 years.
Exactly. Nickelodeon in several of its
Nickelodeon
iterations.
also hasn't been good in like 20 years.
Including the Nick spinoff, Nick at Night turned into TV Land, so the
Oh,
TV
that
Land
was
network,
cool.
Comedy Central, and what else?
Comedy Central hasn't been good in like 20 years.
They got BET,
BET hasn't been good in like 20.
the Paramount Network, CMT, etc.
CMT hasn't been good since like ever.
So those are portions of what is going to be available on Hulu if you're willing to pay the $70 or $75 minimum with ad charge for the Hulu with live TV streaming service.
Dude, no way.
Which turns out I wasn't. The whole reason I had Hulu with live TV was because I got rid of my cable and I wanted to watch wrestling and Comedy Central for things like South Park, since they took South Park off of the southpark.net website where you could no longer watch all of the episodes direct from the source. Trey Parker, Matt Stone had that taken away from them by Viacom CBS.
Thanks, Viacom.
Yeah, so once they dropped Comedy Central in the past, and once I kind of got way behind on wrestling, which is funny because I'm wearing a wrestling shirt.
Wait, I like how you're saying that like it's not something you do every single day.
It's not, man. I haven't watched wrestling in a very long time.
Wearing a wrestling shirt.
Oh, that's totally different.
Unzip it further.
So you can see the Heihachi of the Mishima clan here. Yeah, that's like cool boy, total Inception stuff going on here. But yeah, so if you have Hulu with live TV or willing to pay for it, though, like I was saying, the whole reason I had it was I got rid of my cable, and it was to save money and have only the things that I really wanted anyhow. And now I wasn't saving money anymore. But hey, now that we're talking about streaming services right off the bat,
You heard
here.
about Roku wanting to buy Quibi?
Exactly. It's in pre-talks right now, according to old Wall Street Journal. But both companies have refused to make any comment on it currently. But Roku is reportedly in talks to purchase the
So I always
Quibi
forget
library.
about Roku because way back in the way back in the before times.
A lot of people have Roku TVs, and you don't actually need the device.
I know. Well, because you guys remember Slingbox?
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Is it?
Yeah, so Slingbox is
Sling
more
TV?
of a web app now. Yeah,
No
Sling
shit,
TV.
because
yeah,
I
it's actually
had
it's actually comparatively.
I had a Slingbox back when there was like the Roku. I always seem to pick the wrong teams. I don't know why, because I was like HD DVD, screw Blu-ray. And
I was
then
all
like,
aboard the HD DVD train too because
and I was like,
Blu-ray
Betamax
was
is
dumb.
superior.
Until the porn. Until
Well,
the porn
I know,
Blu-ray.
man.
Well, porn flipped, and they went with Blu-ray, and
Sony.
that's what
Fucking
killed
Sony.
it. But HD DVD was all into
HD
it.
DVD
yeah.
was tight. And yeah, as Vince says, Betamax for life, yo. Betamax was a superior format. And but what I've learned in my old age is the superior format does not always win.
Wasn't Blu-ray technically speaking, like a better format though?
No,
not?
it had a little
of-
higher storage, and Sony was able to push it a little better. HD DVD had better quality. You could get a higher resolution off of the initial HD DVDs before they started in with the
other
UHD
thing
disc.
is that it wasn't like a Sony specific whatever, or not blue. HD DVD was supposed to be more adaptable to other devices, but Blu-ray just marketed so well.
And it was so funny that HD DVD wasn't the one that succeeded because it was the one that was backed by more tech companies like Microsoft and things like that. So super weird. One thing here is I missed a comment that I was gonna mention. So
Was
it's
it Johnny
lost, it's
saying,
gone.
"I'd buy that for $1"?
No, I said he wouldn't buy that. for
I
$1.
wouldn't buy that for $1.
But yeah, so John Katzenberg's Quibi library, Roku.
All 6 things that are on it.
It had the Reno 911 reboot that I've always wanted to watch. So
one?
someone let me borrow their Roku once Roku buys it. There was a couple of originals that no one cared about or heard of. Quibi died in 6 months.
Yeah,
So.
it died before it was a thing.
Because they're like, oh, it's perfect for on the go. And everyone's like, we're not on the go. We're at home.
Yeah.
And Quibi was like,
Derp. Yeah. But yeah, that's news. My folks have a Roku. I hadn't really messed with the Roku in a long time. I think they have like a Generation 2, and I was like navigating it.
well, you know what? Good thing for Roku owners here. I think one of our commenters mentioned last week, or if not, here's some news for you. HBO Max is now available on Roku devices.
When
So-
are we going to get Shudder on my smart TV and other devices? I think they just launched a Roku app, but I want it on my LG,
Xbox?
and I want it on my Xbox, and I want it on my Vizio. I want it on all my things because.
I want it all. Yeah.
Gotta have the dev support. You gotta rally.
But
the troops.
Shudder, dude, I want to be
And I
able to
want
not
it
have
now.
to cast
Boom, 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 boom.
Joe Bob. Yeah, well, I don't have. Vince says Shudder had a Roku app for a while. Yeah, and I discovered that recently because my folks has had because Christmas and stuff.
Oh, what happened to it?
But I don't have a Roku because I have 2 smart TVs and an Xbox and all the things that go with that, and I still have to like pull up my tablet and cast Shudder to my TV like a Luddite.
Well, and one thing Johnny's pointing out right now is one of the failings of Quibi was that it would not let you cast it to a larger screen. It was created specifically for small screen formats.
Stupid.
The idea was to watch it on your phone. Some of them were even presented in vertical format so that you could walk and watch.
A good idea in theory, but a stupid idea because no one should ever watch things vertically.
But talking about streaming and apps.
Wait, before we get off that, you know what pisses me off, you guys?
Where do we start? At the top of the list or somewhere in the middle?
Oh, it's
Are we
what
going
grinds my
backwards?
gears section.
What grinds my gears
Love it.
is when people are like, you say, hey, we're doing this virtual event, right? And we want you to come record a video. And they're like,
man.
and they always are like,
Terrible.
it's me. Hey guys, here I am, filming this thing when they clearly said to film
Now-
it landscape and blah 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 blah.
I think that works
hate
better
that.
for a lot of comments, though, on some forms of live video.
But no one should be watching videos on their phone like this. You go full screen and then turn it. And they're like, that takes so much effort to go like this and do it the right way. Like,
talking about small screens, Johnny asked if anyone ever watched movies on PSP. People did. Yeah, people did. Actually, one of the things about PSP was...
Shout-outs to Will Simmons,
they had,
if you're out there.
They had a memory stick.
Oh, dude, he did.
Well, there was a memory stick on PSP, and PSP you could actually load emulators onto. You could load apps and run other films and things like that.
On those UHDs?
Oh, you mean those homebrew?
No, they were like
homebrew games, right? Not actual games.
Well,
right?
they were long. They were long memory sticks.
Oh, the memory stick duos. Well, the PCPs, the PDPs, PSPs. They had those like weird disc things that you'd like stick in. And anyway, PSP was weird. It was a weird. It was a cool handheld.
Was it an optical disc? What was it?
It was a small. It was like a mini
flash
disc.
memory.
Yeah. It was like a mini disc.
CD.
Yeah, my little cousin had one, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy.
They were cool, man. I played Star Wars, the one with Star Killer. What's it called? The one where you play Vader's apprentice.
Oh.
Unleashed.
Yeah, and then there's two of them, right?
Yeah, I played that one on PSP. It was actually fun. Kaya pointed out that her parents have a Roku and she hates it. Yeah, rightly so. I mean, if you have any kind of entertainment device that streams or does anything like an Xbox or a PlayStation or anything that operates better than Roku.
Chromecast.
Yeah, a nice Chromecast. They all work so much better.
Does
than
Chromecast
Roku.
have apps that you can like
select? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I have a Chromecast and it just has a splash screen.
How old is your Chromecast?
Bro.
I think I bought it like Black Friday last year.
There's like that's still new enough.
So there's a base Chromecast
there's
that's
three
just
generations
for casting,
now.
there's one that works like a Fire Stick or a Roku where you can load apps and stuff.
Yeah, the casting, even though you see that splash screen, if you have your Chrome,
how do you navigate it?
No, you're not supposed to navigate it. So the idea is that you either have a Chrome browser or or an actual dedicated app, say Fox Sports or like Plex TV, MB, whatever it may be, YouTube, and then there's that cast symbol. So
right, the cast,
yeah. I mean, but the navigation.
It's a cast-based system.
It's a cast-based system. I mean, no, not like like the Hindu cast-based system, not like that. But no, it eliminates the I mean, if you don't like that workflow of like just casting it or just like from your phone or your browser, which I like, then it might not be for you. But the Roku is their whole deal was that, I mean, they lacked, I think, the development support of like the other devices, so all the game consoles, all that stuff. But I mean, it comes down to that. I think it depends on also if your Roku-enabled TV has auto update on or not, or if you prompt to update the software. So there's that too.
No, I tell my smart TV to fuck off a lot because it's like, hey, do you want to update? And I was like, no, why? No, it works fine. It works totally fine now, and I'm not going to update my firmware because I know this is planned obsolescence, and I don't want to have to buy a new TV on Black Friday.
Yeah,
anyway.
software.
Before we get too far, because I know that these companies are not developing firmware for old generation televisions because I know how they work.
Because it doesn't get firm enough anymore.
No, but because why would LG or any company develop updates for firmware for a TV that they don't want you to own next year? These people are updating your firmware to fuck your fucking televisions by the time next season rolls around, so you buy a new one. Maybe
you should get a Samsung TV because
no,
mine's kick-ass. Samsung products have never done me wrong except for first generation Galaxies where the power button was incorporated into the motherboard.
No.
What devices are we talking about?
I'm talking about all devices because
that's not a fair argument.
Back when I used to work into that world, I had
you're talking about Apple though, bro.
No, but
what TV do you have that's going out that quick? Every TV I've ever had.
No, it's not going out. It's working.
But
they want me to keep updating software, and I was like, I know that they're not going, oh, we're really concerned about this 2.5-year-old television.
One day they'll
need
just
to update the software.
No,
they want to update that software so it'll go out and stop working. We'll go make it.
What's in your cup over here?
With the TV? So no, I mean that's a valid concern. I think everyone needs to consider that. However,
they're not here helping us.
However,
guys.
for the TVs, depending on if they're updating, if they're updating the software, it's not like it's all of a sudden like going to put like an inhibitor chip or an inhibitor type setting where it disables, like it reduces the resolution or the refresh rate or things like that. Now, if you rely on, say, the actual interface of the the built-in software that, like, what Samsung TVs like of like last generation, like I have a 2015 model, right? Like,
and they probably want you to update the firmware.
Yeah, and they updated it, and I updated the firmware, and the thing is, and the software too, but I don't use the Samsung native apps in the TV. Instead, I use the Chromecast because the Chromecast is dedicated, has more memory, and it just performs better, right? So I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. Like that's where the beauty of Roku is from like an unbiased perspective, is that it is large, it's commoditized, like, piece of integrated software, and like like lower cost moderate TVs. So
you know what, though, to that point, I do wish there was a non-smart TV option.
Give me a dumb TV
in a UHD.
Where's Merle? We
were just talking about CRTs. Look at all these CRTs in the background. We love our dumb TVs.
I want a UHD TV offered, not as a smart TV.
I want a high definition television that allows me to adjust the brightness, the contrast, the white balance, and the color saturation.
You just want those knobs.
No, I
I
used to do it. I don't want a cinematic setting, sports setting, game setting. It's like, no, asshole. I want to turn motion blur off. I want crap that I want the settings.
I have all of that on my Samsung.
Well, not all, because see, I think it's my Vizio.
Yeah,
my Vizio allows me to do everything, but my LG, which is an more expensive and bigger TV, was like, nah, dude, we're gonna do it for you. Cinematic or HDR mode.
That's how LG's phones and things are too. Is that they make things more broadly user friendly by simplifying.
Vince says he wants to be able to turn his TV off on the TV.
Oh, having an old power button? Yeah, they have started to do away with.
I straight up miss power buttons. Hey, you know what?
Jeez,
we actually
that's
have.
What Merle. Shout out to Merle for sharing this earlier today.
We have one of those in the shop.
You're rich.
Yeah, dude.
Well, Munkus is rich,
bruh. Munkus, this is your Bitcoin moment, bro.
Dude, yeah, we have one of those literally.
Bitcoin.
Here, I'm gonna go take a picture of it right now. Hang on.
All right, okay.
What are you doing?
So meanwhile,
yeah,
well, I guess we were talking about like Halo before the show. Like, you just dived into the Halo lore.
Is that what we're getting into while we're waiting on him?
I mean, yeah, we can steal the show now.
I mean, yeah, we can. Usually when we're left alone, it becomes gaming news.
Yeah, or Mortal Kombat. Hey, they announced a new cast, right? Or they announced confirm more cast members.
What? They're going to add more to 11? There's no way, because they just came out with the ultimate.
No. I was talking about the live action.
Oh, for the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't paid attention to
check this out.
any of that. I haven't seen about that.
Oh, dude, don't give our coordinates out. Someone's gonna.
Look at that.
Someone's gonna try to break in and grab Munkus' shit right here. Try to like put it on eBay.
So, hey, you know what though? While we are talking about streaming, have you seen that Wonder Woman now has made over $100 million at the box office?
Did you also see that everybody's all up in arms that they're like, well, this movie, the box office dropped off 67% from last weekend. It's like,
that's how it always works.
That's exactly, that's what I thought. Is like, that is literally how every single movie happens after
just because it was
weekend.
The first big movie of pandemic or whatever doesn't mean that it's not going to follow the pattern that movies have. Just because it's not a Marvel movie, which, hey, this last week, while we're talking about it now, Zack Snyder has had an interview, and he talked about how people should not and cannot compare Marvel and DC cinematic universes because there's no way for that to really, for DC to measure up to Marvel in the same sense as what people pit it against. His reasoning being that Marvel has had such a slow build and like a long burn of that leading up to
15 years or something,
whereas,
18 movies.
And Marvel was never popular in any form outside of comics once you left the 90s and the X-Men cartoon and Spider-Man cartoon behind. Exactly. Yeah. So once the X-Men and Spider-Man of the 90s, even the Hulk and Iron Man cartoon of the 90s, which were good, but no one ever talks about those. Once you get past those, you had like the Neil Patrick Harris MTV Spider-Man, which was pretty spectacular.
NPH is talented.
Yeah, and you had some other good shows, but people don't have the same love for those that people do with DC animated, as all of us are big fans of.
Yeah.
And that's what he said, is that DC's kept such a strong presence on television and home video with animated and CW shows, or
Honestly,
what have you there.
The DC world off screen is far superior
on
than
small screen.
Oh, yeah, there's no
anything.
comparison.
It's so superior.
It's subjective, yeah, but
Well,
yeah.
so Smallville was good. You had the Adventures of Lois and Clark back when. You had the Flash live action TV show, the original from the 90s, and now you have the new Flash.
And
the
even
whole
the Legends of
Arrowverse.
Tomorrow for a couple of seasons was all right.
Well,
there.
that's what I'm saying. The whole Arrowverse, which they ended up incorporating Supergirl into, and
then if you want to start talking DC, Michael Keaton's Batman, you want to talk about film DC, like way ahead of Marvel's time? Like, get out of here. Like, Batman movies have been around.
And then you even had kids' cartoons. You had things like Static Shock and stuff like that that always kept in Justice League, Justice League Unlimited, and so DC has such a strong presence in people's homes.
So
it's hard for them to separate what they know of DC the way that Marvel was, because unfortunately a lot of people walked into Marvel movie blind, which is particularly why I do not like Marvel movies, because they're not made for people that like Marvel.
For me, like, I grew up on Marvel comics.
I did too. My
hated,
comic book collection outweighs my car.
And I hated
I should
DC
not have told people.
It's out there now. But I hated DC Comics. I was like, DC Comics are crap. Marvel Comics are where it's at. And then it was small screen DC and the DC movies like Batman that brought me over as a DC fanboy.
You should read Elseworld comics instead, because DC Elseworlds are always super baller, and crossover events like Batman and Dread, or Batman and Predator, or Alien and Predator and Batman, or Dread and Alien and Predator, those are the best.
I am the law.
Yeah.
Johnny Dalton says he's still holding out for a live action Icon.
Icon would be sick. And when we talked about Black Heroes on that one episode, that was one of those things that we were like, you know what would be sick? Having movies like this, put Michael Jai White in everything, something. Give me some of those.
Michael Jai White would.
That's another thing.
Pull off the movies,
who's the DC hero where she gets the power of the animals from her amulet?
The animals?
Yeah, she gets like the strength of an elephant or whatever. She has like
the Wonder Twins.
No, I'm not. She just gets the power of them. She doesn't morph or anything like that. She started. They did her in the Arrow Vixen. Thank you, Johnny.
Yes.
So
the comments strong tonight.
Even things not Manimal.
Manimal.
But they started Vixen in a spin-off animated after show of like Arrow or Flash, and then they brought her into the live action. DC has kept a strong presence, and so that's one thing that Zack Snyder thinks is harmful to the DCEU, because people compare it too strictly to side by side and parallel with Marvel.
That's correct.
And
it's not a 1-1 comparison.
Well, and part of that is making it where AT&T, who owns Warner Brothers, is not looking favorably upon the Snyder Cut right now.
Yeah, he's not in anymore, right? After that, he's kind of getting thrown out. That's what I heard. Right?
Which originally he had planned 5 spin-off movies. He was the whole brains behind DC, the way that they've done 2 or 3 people and they just pretend like it's one guy in Marvel now. But he was going to be the whole brains behind the whole thing. And now that Wonder Woman's had such a strong split from it, and he's been so far removed, I think the Snyder Cut's going to be it. But WB and AT&T in particular is not putting a lot of stock into the Snyder Cut that they originally had.
We'll
put
see how
there,
it does. Well, the verdict's not out yet. I mean, it's not released. We'll see how
honestly,
it does, man.
So and I think Wonder Woman is a really good litmus test to see how well Snyder Cut could do, because what everybody's talking about, just which got us on this whole spiral about how box office tailored off about 67% or whatever it is. We have forgotten so much of how box office Hollywood works. And I think that a lot of us are getting a shock to our system when we see this big budget, boring ass blockbuster that is pretty much paint by numbers, what everybody normally loves. You would have lapped Wonder Woman 84 up like it was manna from the gods if it had just
well, yeah, 1 year. If it would have been released on schedule,
it'd been fine. We'd been like, more, oh God. And then now we're like, wait a minute. We've had a year of looking back at classics. We've had a year
Marvel is in their lull.
Marvel's in their lull. They've lost all their their titans, and we're looking at these things and going, wait a second. It's kind of like that joke that I used to love to tell. It's like, what do all the guys? What does everybody at a Grateful Dead concert say when the weed runs out? Dude, this music sucks. And and like that's us. Like we're looking at these movies and we're going like, dude, these movies kind of suck.
That's been my position since the first Iron Man. I was like, why the fuck is the first hour of this movie in the dumbass cave telling you how he became Iron Man when in the comics it was one fucking page. It was one page. And they're like, well, let's spend an hour here.
Respect the process.
Yeah, because they can play that song. Vince asks, do you think when this is over, the studios will try to act like nothing happened?
Some studios like MGM, as reported last week, might not even be around because MGM is trying to sell themselves for a mere $5.5 billion.
So you can go to GoFundMe.com/The Drive-In Speakerbox and fund our initiative to buy MGM Studios.
Dude, it's, seriously, $5.5 billion for a full-blown 100-some-odd-year-old movie studio.
It's a bargain.
You get the entire library, all active films, and it costs. One Disney movie can make $1 billion or more by itself.
For $125 a day, you can support our initiative to buy MGM Studios.
Yeah, and then just hit it with the Disney model and be like, oh, Wizard of Oz is going in the vault. Fucking buy it right now, idiot. Or never watch Wizard of Oz
and we'll
again.
Start an MGM streaming platform called Migum, and it'll be great.
If Fandango had enough cash, I think that would probably strategically be good. But I mean, they already acquired Vudu. So, but yeah, that's too huge.
The problem with Fandango
that's too huge of a purchase.
Is Fandango is to movies what Yahoo is to the internet. And
Yahoo now, not Yahoo then.
Well, Yahoo
or
now.
Ask Jeeves.
Well, and neither was Fandango then. Fandango at a time was like a titan of what it was trying to do, but it lost its way. And I think that it's just trying to grasp at something to stay relevant. But the MGM is a power move, because I think that right now we need to understand the power of the quality that has been before us, because there's not quality happening right now, guys.
Fandango's owned by NBC. Wow, okay.
Speaking
NBC and Warner.
Of quality here, Johnny said that he put a bootleg copy of Iron Man on the front 12 flat screens at Sam's Club back in the day and got in a lot of trouble. And Vince said that instead of the lion roar, it'll just be me sitting there cracking open a Coors and then being like, that's good, Migum. And then people just like go into the movie. And
Miller Genuine what?
Yeah.
Miller Genuine Malt is now what MGM stands for.
There you go. But that would, I opened a second one when I didn't need to, just for the effect.
It worked.
Yeah, help us.
Now you have to chug the first one.
I guess. Help us buy MGM. We can bring you all on as producers to our movies.
Yeah, dude. You want to produce a movie? We're going to be like Blumhouse. We're going to just say, hey, we believe in you. And we're going to give you a small budget.
You can be like...
Start making it rain anyway.
Was it Rudy Ray Moore, or was it a different dude who did that movie where he had the idea and then he literally had sex with women on screen because he was like, this is my movie, I'm just going to do it.
That was Rudy Ray Moore.
Yeah.
From Fort Smith, a Fort Smith native.
Yeah,
right in our backyard.
When you're a producer, you can make like Toxic Avenger style stuff. I don't care. We can do like a whole what's that studio that does Toxie?
Trauma, dude.
Thank you. Yes, we can do like Trauma. We can make it as weird as you want. You can do a reimagining of Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, since we would own the rights to it.
Marley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. and
Yeah,
you
there
can
you
do
go.
it.
No, we'll own it. We'll own the movie, dude. It'll be fine. We can just do
You
a
can do it.
reboot. We can make it.
We can do Kango and Tash. We can do whatever we
Is
want.
Tango and Cash MGM?
It might be.
Could we meet Kurt Russell if we own MGM?
If I got to meet Kurt Russell in my life, I could die a complete man.
Oh, Zaxoff told us that there's supposed to be a Toxic Avenger reboot.
There
No,
is
don't.
and
Don't touch it.
Peter Dinklage is supposed to play the role of Toxie.
What? Hold on, what?
Yeah,
like
you
the
never know
voice,
this?
the voice of Toxie, or is he gonna be in a Toxie outfit?
Dude, give me the full dink. I want the
Give
full
me-
dink as Toxie.
What's the name of the dude that runs Trauma?
I forget his name. But yeah, he's an interesting cat.
What? Just him at the beginning of the movie
Mm-hmm.
talking. What? Oh man, I can't remember his name. Why can't I remember his name right now? As soon as I remember, it's right here, and I can't do it. He introduces almost all of the Trauma films, and he's hilarious.
He's a funny guy. He actually did a cameo on the Joe Bob Christmas special, which was great, by the way, if you've not watched the Joe Bob Christmas special, which is the only real reason to get Shudder is to watch Joe Bob Briggs.
Hey,
Lloyd Kaufman. Thank you,
Thank
Johnny.
you. Yes, there it is. Lloyd Kaufman. Yeah. He just introduces it, and he's like, and here's a new take on Toxie. And it's just Peter Dinklage being Toxie. Like, yeah. You can't talk about Toxic Avenger in 2020 on this show because we'll get in trouble, even though we're just talking about a movie that was existent 30 years ago. Watch it for yourself. Find out about...
And Sergeant Kabuki Man.
Yeah. Well,
Like, those are the two
You can't
big...
talk about anything Trauma, like people having
Wait,
their wieners
McLean-
cut off and pickled.
McLean says Trauma has a streaming service, and how did I not know about this?
All 20 of the movies.
Dude, because like in the 90s, I was a real big Trauma head. And yeah, but then I kind of forgot about because I was like in the 90s I was really into John Waters. I was really into
You would be.
Dude,
Pink Flamingos is my favorite movie.
Desperate Living, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Because I mean, even though Divine was amazing in Pink Flamingos, Desperate Living is a far more hilarious movie.
Oh, they do have a streaming service.
But anyway, yeah, and then I got into Trauma for a while, and I was like, I followed studios.
Trauma's really fun until you watch Terror Firma.
Tromeo and Juliet is a pretty good one. But I really like Sergeant Kabuki Man. I don't know. Like,
That's available on Netflix, isn't it?
yeah, Sergeant Kabuki Man like was a fun. Oh well, there it is. Look at that. They do Cannibal Claws. It's all there.
Oh, is Cannibal the Musical on here?
Shakespeare Shitstorm, Slashing 2. These are movies I haven't watched. These are Trauma films I haven't checked.
Well, that's super rad, man. Hey, while we're talking about streaming services, guess what? Variety has reported what the most pirated TV show of last year was.
Wait,
Take a wild guess.
last year.
2020. Because it's 2021 now.
Ink Wars.
No, real guess.
Let me think. Let me make a real guess here.
The top 5 are all from streaming services, not something you get on regular broadcast television.
Really?
Yeah. Why else
So
would you?
I mean,
why else would you pirate?
that
it?
would have been past Game of Thrones. But it would
dethroned Game of Thrones.
right. So it would have been
Karate Kid was available on YouTube, and then Netflix. It was too easy to access.
it was way easy to access, which we're going to be talking about. We've got in the last half hour. We do have new stuff to talk about.
This is all new stuff. This is news.
Cobra Kai season 3 is going to get talked about. Man, I don't know. What was it?
Mandalorian.
Oh well, duh. Okay, yeah.
Which had risen from number 3 in 2019, and the
I keep
rest.
thinking that was just this year because all of them are so
That's why I
boring
pointed
and
out, dude.
redundant.
2021. It was the most pirated show of 2020, and this was based on torrenting only. It does not account for any illegal streams online, but based on torrenting only, the other top 5 are as follows.
I like how these are the only notes you had for the whole show.
What about that Usenet, those BBS and IRC downloads, bro?
That's what
Nobody
I'm saying.
tracks
Yeah,
those.
who uses IRC? Yeah, the FBI got on IRC, which is why we all started using
No
torrent.
one uses IRC.
Hey,
I'm
Yeah,
just
defi-
saying.
definitely
don't
no.
ever.
Nobody.
Nobody uses that. Please don't check it.
Hey, I used to download a bunch of manga and
I might
stuff
still
off Earth.
actually do.
Hey, the rest are as follows because we don't pirate stuff. We go to the movie theater like Cool Boys.
Yes.
Number 2, The Boys, which is an Amazon.
Yeah, The Boys.
3 is Westworld, HBO.
I forgot about that show.
4 is Vikings, which is now owned by
My
Amazon.
mom loves that show, and I haven't watched a single
So
episode.
it's now an Amazon show streaming, no longer on cable. So that's now something.
Shout outs to my homies on Kazaa.
Who still uses? There's no way.
Oh man,
Hey,
I remember when
dude.
the kids in school, they thought they were cool. Like, hey, you do computer stuff? You hear a Kazaa? I'm like, I just laughed in their
If
face.
you were a big nerd, you
Hey.
use SoulSeek. And
Hey,
Oh
SoulSeek
my
did you help me
God.
fix
Still
my
out there,
computer?
dude.
I downloaded this
Oh
thing on
my-
Kazaa.
SLSK.net.
We all used Kazaa.
Get with it.
Hey,
Sorry,
and
Vince.
then number 5, Picard, which is CBS. So there you go. How about that? Mandalorian, Boys, Westworld, Vikings, and Picard. Top 5 most torrented or
Wow.
pirated shows
So
of 2020.
mainly, I'm going to say this mainly because I know our audience isn't huge. SoulSeek and Easy News. Those are
Those are words that you said.
two
and
things that I still use to this
They're
day,
things that you can look up.
and they are safe havens of all sorts of fun things.
So, hypothetically, if you get in trouble for downloading something because your cable provider has tracked it and it used a port that they were like, hey, wait a second. And then the
That's why
copyright
BitTorrents
holder
suck, dude. Direct
decides to
downloads
say
for life.
something to you about it.
No, you're still not safe. Though.
What you
Change the file name, dude. It's all
theoretically and
flags.
hypothetically here, if that was to happen, just have Opera browser on your computer and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just downloaded Opera and I'm not familiar with it. I was curious about that as well. I'm sorry."
Well, if
Opera
they,
has a built-in.
I mean, honestly, unless you're running some massive operation, you really don't have too much to worry about.
Okay, so scenario.
They can track regardless.
In a hypothetical
HTTP.
scenario here, say that at one point in time, when a young man was really into watching foreign films that you couldn't get here and needed to download them
Were these
all the
foreign
time.
films called hentai?
No.
Yeah.
But there was a copyright holder who had purchased the rights to a new revamped series of something that was old, and I had gotten the old stuff, and they thought that I was getting the new stuff, hypothetically. So I hate you guys so much. It's straight up foreign films for real, dude. I watched My Wife as a Gangster, which is actually now like
My
on
life is a what?
a Gangster. It's on Netflix. It's a Korean film series. It's really good. I don't think you can find the first one in the series, unfortunately. But stuff like that, the Stephen Chow movies that I would get,
Stephen Chow's awesome.
all of those things that were tough to. I mean, the only way you can watch God of Cookery in the U.S. Because it's not available
Or
on
the
Amazon.
$60 Million Man, which is one of my favorite Stephen Chow's.
Yeah, or Tricky
Or is it
Brains
$600 Million Man? I think it's
No.
$60 million.
from
Man.
Beijing with Love.
That one's pretty good.
They're all good, and Stephen Chow. But the only way you can watch God of Cookery, which is the best one, is right here on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. But it's very grainy, it's hard to see, and if reading subtitles already isn't your jam, a YouTube upload version from 10 years ago from a VCD is not the top quality.
Yeah.
So.
Oof. Well, hey, we could obviously, if you guys have ever tuned into the show, we can rabbit hole for hours. But
Hey, this year that has been the show.
it has been. It's the drive-in rabbit hole, which sounds like something that you download on your weird one of your foreign films that you love.
Sounds like a
so
Steam
much.
game. If you're a game
Forget
developer,
you,
you
bro.
name that.
You know for a fact you watch all of the same stuff that I do, man.
It's so funny when Bo makes fun of like nerds and geeks, and then he's like
No,
one of the
I mean,
biggest ones.
Well, yeah, I'm all about making fun of nerds and geeks because who cares about friggin' nerds, man? But
They're you.
I've
They're
never
you.
in my
Oh
life.
my goodness. That's-
The secret is you've been a nerd inside the whole time.
No,
like-
I've never once
The
in
nerd
my
magic
entire
was
life.
in your
nerd
heart.
elitism
There's
going
no
on here.
nerd
This
magic.
dude doesn't know. He
No.
doesn't know.
No, because that's like the fucked up thing about Revenge of the Nerds 2 and 3 and all that, where Ogre is with the nerds. No. Ogre was too cool to hang out with the nerds.
But he knew. He even realized that he was a nerd, and you still haven't had that epiphany.
You watch a lot of the same Chinese.
Kaya knows you're a nerd. Poochie knows
they're talking to you, dog.
No.
Dude, there's a line right here, and on this side line, we ain't nerds,
bro. What's the bulk of what you talk about when you go to pinpoint? What are the topics we're hitting?
Whatever your drunken Hennessy filled
mind. No. Like prior to that. I mean, we still talk about all the comic stuff, all the gaming stuff. I mean, it's all there.
Have you guys watched any episodes of this show? Yeah, could you open your shirt again for us?
Yeah.
Dude, it's wrestling and
Unzip
Tekken
it for me.
Okay, wrestling and Tekken, two very non-nerd things.
No, dude, Tekken's sick.
I stand corrected.
Have you ever played Tekken?
No, because I'm not a nerd.
Here we go. Oh, man.
Unreal, bro.
Yoshimitsu, let's go.
And Holly says she didn't even think she knew there was the third Revenge of the Nerds movie.
Yeah, turns out.
Hey, I didn't know that.
Speaking of things that have unnecessary reboots headed their way, which I don't know how they're going to handle Revenge of the Nerds with rape and bullying and sexism and
very not inclusive.
Just nothing but hate crime after hate crime.
Yeah, the Revenge of the Nerd films are not.
It's a product of its time, and it's fine back then.
But
just like Real Genius,
doesn't age well.
But how can you still call it Revenge of the Nerds and bring it out in 2020?
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. But anyway, like I said, before we get out of this episode, we've seen some new content. Johnny over here in the comments. Good Lord.
He's watched every available episode of Drive-In Speakerbox and transcribed them on the walls of his fruit cellar.
That's our fans, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, keytars. But no,
That's with the
that was the electric violin. You saw.
Clap your hands, everybody. And everybody just clap your hands.
But you saw a new movie. You saw the Tom Hanks movie.
I did.
That's in theaters.
New
you saw
movies.
it. Let's talk about it.
I did.
News.
Right.
Let's give you news of the world.
I watched the new emotion journey drama western.
Journey.
Yeah, that's what it is. News of the world, starring Tom Hanks.
Did you chug your first open Coors?
I don't need to, bro.
No, you have two open Coors.
This isn't the Let's Drink Beer with the Boys show.
This is the Chug-In Speakerbox.
Chug it.
Welcome to the Drinking Beer with the Boys stream, where we just go down crazy rabbit holes of cinema.
You
drink
can't
a lot
have
of beer.
two open Coors in front of you.
Yeah, dude, double fisted.
And then, there you go. All right, now you have one open Coors in front of you. Now proceed.
Well, yeah, here we go. Are we done with the tech that makes us mad segment and I am not a nerd segment? Never. That's
the overarching narrative of the season 29 billion of the Drive-In Speakerbox.
So I watched News of the World, the Tom Hanks Western. Yeah, it's not empty.
Yo, dude, that's not empty. I was gonna. No. What do you, finish that beer.
This isn't what our people are here for,
man. No,
this
is exactly what our people are here.
They're here to watch you be a nerd.
They're currently watching you be a nerd because you know who doesn't leave empty beers?
Here we go.
Cool boys. You know
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. We got nerd and the cool boy.
You know who leaves empty beers? Nerds. They pretend to chug their beers and they set it down, and then their cool dude picks it up and checks it and goes, "Wait a minute, there's still beer in there, you faker."
Wow, dude, I'm the coolest boy here, even though my chair is sinking and I'm becoming the short man. Listen, dude, I watched a movie. Let's talk about a movie. We can talk about beer later.
We can drink this beer now. Yeah, Holly even says if you're not a nerd, yeah, now you gotta crush it, like he said. That's why I said there it is.
That's right. Fuck dry January. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Johnny Dalton said he had to chug them cold.
Now that I've literally sunk to your level.
Stone Cold style, I had to check it.
Oh, if it's Stone Cold style, I will ruin all of our equipment and collectibles.
You had to crush it, and that's why I did.
Well, Stone Cold
determined that you were a big nerd liar and didn't drink all your beer
We're going
like
to
a
have
grown-ass cool boy.
after
Crack
this
open
show.
another one. I think Kyle wants you to drink another one.
Why does this chair continue to sink?
Because it knows where the nerds are.
No, now I'm down on your level. That's symbolic. Just like cinema that we watched, cinema that I went and viewed at the movie theater. I watched News of the World, and short story here about a movie about stories. It was very good. Now it is it's a Western. Most people don't like Westerns. It's not fast paced.
Was it rootin' and or tootin'?
No.
Oh.
It's not fast paced. It's not an action movie. There's no motorized vehicles. It takes place in 1870.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
It follows Tom Hanks, who is retired, surrendered Confederate Captain Kidd out of Texas, and he was a preacher prior to the war, and his job is that he travels around Texas from town to town, and he brings them the news of the world. He purchases local news, state news, federal news, and international, and so he reads it to them. For people who don't...
is he like the only person in the community that can read?
No. What it is, he puts on kind of a show with it. He makes the stories entertaining. He tells them in an entertaining fashion, and he charges people, 10 cents to come here and read. And as he presents it with each town he goes to, everyone here is hardworking folks. They work from morning until night. They don't have time to sit down and read a newspaper, so he has taken that work and done it for him. They do make comment that, that's a rare career path, and they talk about that. But he goes from town to town. He entertains people, but he informs them as well. It's very early PBS. It's entertaining. It's educational.
It's the drive-in speaker box.
Yeah. I love PBS so much. So he goes around, and in his travels, as he's leaving one town, he comes across a
performance troupe with one of the interpretive news.
Yeah. So a troop of one. And on his travels, he encounters a small girl, a young girl who is dressed in buckskin and does not speak any Western tongue. She instead speaks in the language of the Kiowa Indians because her family was murdered and she was kidnapped by them.
That's sad.
Yeah, well, the sad part too is she was found by the army who had raided and killed all of the Indians she lived with, taken her, and they were returning her to her family. But the army, the soldier in charge of her and the wagon, happened to be a black man. And
remember our Oregon Trail movie that we wanted to do?
It's this. And a group of rowdy Texans lynched him, and she had no idea what to do with herself. And so the thing you see is that Tom Hanks is everything hits him because he was a preacher. He was a man of peace. He was forced into war. It's not something that he particularly was fond of. And all of this hits him, and you get to see a representation of 1870, just post-war. I hate you guys so much.
Some good comments coming in, you guys.
That is... it's impactful, and that carries through the movie because Tom Hanks isn't someone, his character isn't someone who feels the same as a lot of the people that he meets in his travels, and he has a strong sense of morals and ethics and duty and things like that. And so his life as a soldier and a preacher follow him around, and there's a lot of symbolism and things like that. Like the girl says that life in the world is like a circle, and he says no, life is like a straight line. And she's like, well, you have to remember things to be able to move on and forget. You have to visit the past, and she does that in their travels because he ends up having to take responsibility for her because the soldiers he takes her to don't care. They just don't care. So he decides he'll be the one person that looks out for her. But he also has a hard past that he's trying to move away from, so he wants to move in a straight line away from everything, but she wants to revisit and be able to grieve and move on and things like that. And all of it's done very well in the movie. It's a emotional journey and a slow burn with a very good payoff, and it was a very good movie. Not extremely visually impactful. There are some CG and things like that were bad, but it's an independent film.
Just like Wonder Woman.
not as bad as Wonder Woman. Actually, it did have better graphics and CGI than Wonder Woman was able to represent on screen. But it is a good Western. It's a good character study and story of two very different people who have had hard lives and their ways of moving on and grieving and finding each other and things like that. Super great. I really liked it. And you being a giggly butthole through the whole
it's not
thing.
me. It's the comments.
Speaking of, hey, so while
Man, talk about Western tongue being one of your foreign movies, like get out of here with that. Sense of Duty. Like I love all these foreign movie titles.
So speaking of that, and people being interruptive buttholes, so I watched this movie in the theater. I was the first to purchase my tickets.
Oh, dude. Guys, get ready. Because I've seen Jake get so mad at a theater where he's like straight up stormed out, double fisting the doors, like fuck this place.
Yeah, I almost ripped the front door off of the Malco movie theater because they ruined Princess Bride.
Yep. And
we've talked about this. So it was myself and my parents. In front of us were three goat roper type dudes.
Hey now,
they
could have roped other animals.
I don't have a better word for it.
I don't know if they were goats.
And then an elderly couple that was audibly flatulent through the movie.
Audibly flatulent is tough in a movie because that music's up loud.
Throughout this movie, in
the comments, Johnny, no one wants to suffer like G did.
Yeah, actually, hey, I'm really good at House of the Dead. If you do want to play House of the Dead with me, I will totally play that. I can't even tell you because y'all can make fun of it. I'm very good at House of the Dead.
Because he's not a nerd.
House of the Dead's fun, dude. It's a shooter game. You hate it probably.
I had it on Dreamcast.
So anyhow, the three of them in front of us were on their phones throughout the trailers. No big deal. They continued throughout the movie, though they kept it brief at times. And right at the emotional climax, the entire payoff of the movie, one of them decided to have his phone out for about 2-3 minutes straight. Now, the whole purpose of going to the theater is that you're there for the theater experience. We tell you guys about this all the time. They turn the lights down. They tell you 3 or 4 times, don't have your phone out. Everyone who's ever been alive ever knows not to have your phone at the movies, though despite that, all of you continue to have your phones out at the theater.
I usually carry a jacket so I can put it over my head in case I have to check a message in an
and
emergency.
then you do this.
I don't do
right
that.
there, right in my face.
I don't do that.
And then you go, hey, did you see that? Who was that guy? I missed it.
I don't do that. I'm
do.
not like a Jewish grandma. I don't do that.
Wow, no. So anyhow, I got up and I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, hey, put your phone away. The end. Well, this person decided that he wanted to turn this into an altercation after the movie and offered
Somebody
to
ask him to meet him outside.
Yeah. Now, this man was a foot and about 100 pounds or more less than I am. And I was like, man, it's just a movie. The point of it is,
to what our chair heights are telling you, he's a big dude.
So, yeah, there we go right there. So the point of this was he asked what my problem was, and I told him it's a movie. If you don't have time for the movie, don't come to the movie. You paid $12 to ruin my theatrical experience. Now, the point of watching a movie in the theater, which it had great sound design, the gunshots and everything were and they echoed and
really
they lingered.
Good pews.
The sound design in the wagon, all of it was fantastic. But when you pull your phone out, or when you talk during a movie, or when you open Instagram or TikTok or whatever you have,
if you're
going
gonna
on,
check your phone, it better be a message sent to you directly.
Well, and that's
don't get on your social
don't
medias.
check your phone. Period. And he goes, I was texting my mom. No, you weren't. I saw your TikTok video, guy. But the point of it is, if you need to text your mom and you can't be away for 2 hours, you don't belong in the theater. And if it's something that you think might be an emergency, you don't belong in the theater. But if
you can go in the hall,
if it has to be, go to the hall, get up, use the bathroom, do something. But if you're expecting an emergency, if you don't think that you can be off your phone for 2 hours or less, if something is so important to you, don't go to the movie theater. Do not take away the theatrical experience from somebody. And I think that's part of why theaters are hurting, is because people don't want to go to the theater because people like that are there. And those people don't care for the theatrical experience.
And people like that don't give a shit about the theatrical experience.
Yeah, they don't care for their theatrical experience, and they don't care for yours, and they have no respect or care or anything for the movie. And if you don't want to be in the movie, don't go to the movie. So just
as
word
Vince says,
there.
even on the lowest brightness, it's still too bright. Don't be fooled.
And because when you have movement and it's something separated into the dark opposite of the screen, and it's bad enough that at our local AMC that I watched this movie at, they don't.
I haven't been to our AMC yet. I've only been to the Malco. How's the AMC?
Oh, it's just as we remember, just less people. This was the first bad theater experience I've had since COVID stuff. But it's bad enough that our theater don't clean their screens. They don't always have fully functioning speakers, and they don't take care of the curtaining. In fact, the theater we were in, there was a piece hanging down. It's been there for 2 or 3 years. We've talked about this particular theater before.
Was it Theater 11?
Theater
okay,
1.
God.
The big one when you head left.
11 on the other side has the same fucking problem.
So there's a dangling thing that occupies a portion of the screen. And it's bad enough that I have to.
Theater 1, did it also smell somewhat moldy in there? Or is that Theater 2? Because there's 1 and 2, which are the two big ones on the left side.
Yeah, 2's the one you're
that's the
thinking
one
of.
that kind of has a wet, moldy smell.
The point of it is it's hard to have a theatrical experience, especially with something like this. It's a movie without a lot of active sound, without a lot of flashing action. It's something that it's designed to bring you in emotionally in something that you're brought into the world of, and you kind of feel like you're a third party in this wagon ride with them throughout the movie. And at the height and emotional payoff is when this guy decided that he wanted everyone else in that theater to miss out on the movie because he decided not to watch it. And right now, there's so many movies available on VOD, premium VOD. You can buy them already. There's
in the comfort of your own douchey home.
And that's what I told him. I said, man, if you're going to do that, you can literally watch this movie at home right now. There's no reason for you to be at the theater. Just please, if you are going to go to the theaters and go back, be respectful of other people, and if you have to be on a phone, buy very back row.
Yeah,
or don't,
or step
just
into the aisle.
Don't.
So as Holly says in the comments, she says, as a single parent, I always have to be accessible. I do silent and dark mode, lowest screen brightness, and just check a few times to be sure everything is fine. I would never actually get on the phone and do something. The same way, like I own a business, especially in a pandemic. Like if I leave, it usually on a weekend I cannot get away, but sometimes I make that decision. I'm gonna go away. But I'll like take something. I try to make every effort possible. And if I have to take a call or have to respond to a lot of messages, I will leave. And I get it, but still, you have to make the effort to be respectful. And if it's bothering someone enough for them to go, hey, dickhole, like, stop. I'd be like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
And that's not how I approach the situation. I did what anyone in the theater would do. I tapped
him
on the shoulder.
Dickhole?
No, I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, hey, put your phone away. That was it. Now, I could have grabbed his phone and hurled it across the entire theater and then snapped his neck easily. But I didn't. I tapped him on the shoulder and said, put your phone away. And Vince pointed out, you have to be a super asshole to be a dick in the theater during COVID times. You do. This was one of only the second time.
Your mom says those people farted a lot.
I know. You have to be... this is only the second time I've gone to a theater and had more people in it than just myself or you and our group that we're with. And unfortunately, it was the only bad time. But the movie was great. Just please be respectful of the theater. My parents did say couldn't tell if it smelled moldy because of the old people farting. Like, seriously, in the silence of this movie, it would get down and it was like a scene where you're just like involved and it was just someone would rip one. And you're just like, well, I mean, okay.
Oh man, audible farts in a movie are
So
pretty
Vince
great.
asked what my response was when I was done punching him, and the rest of the comment cut off, and I'm sorry I missed that.
My mom is also. Our moms are in the comments tonight.
Is there a way I can see Vince's whole comment there? But I did not fight this man. He did, however, decide he wanted to hang out outside the theater, watch what vehicle I walked to, and then glare at me as his friends drove him away while he was squeezed into the back seat with like 4 people.
Real cool.
Yeah,
Real cool.
mean mung me. There's no reason to get into any kind of altercation over a movie. All I did was do what anyone would ask him to do and put his phone away. Please be respectful of other people in a movie theater so that theaters can rebound and people can enjoy a theatrical experience. And I think that's part of why they're hurting for sure, because that has kept people away from the movies for a very long time, is other people ruining.
Dumb buttholes.
Now, I've actually got up and walked 7, 8 aisles down and tapped on someone's shoulder and told them to put their phone away, because when you're sitting at the front of the theater and you're playing on your phone because Candy Crush just gets your dick hard, I do not need you in my movie theater.
So speaking of people that you don't need in a movie theater, my mother was in the comments is like, be respectful and chew with your mouth closed and open your stuff before the movie starts. Smacking and crunchy paper are the worst. And then
Has she ever taught you these lessons?
yeah, as a baby human, she used to hold my mouth shut like this while I would chew to train me to chew with my mouth closed. This is a real thing that my mother did. Call child services. But Rogue Negroni is also saying that they second the noisy eater things, because why do they serve nachos in those crunchy, like crispy, loud ass containers?
That's true. Well, some of them serve them in cardboard.
Yeah, cardboard's the way to go. AMC does the cardboard thing, which is the smart. But
Johnny
if you get
said-
the like plastic that's like made out of sun chip bags, that's just like
Johnny says we should wear Usher's vests when we go to the movie theater and get those flashlights with a little cone on them. That would be a great idea.
like we're air traffic control.
Vince asked my parents if I've had a love of foreign films from a early age. They'll probably answer yes to that. Now, my parents will back me up that they took me to movies when I was a small child, and I did great. I'm just as I am now. Did not make noise or talk through them. I enjoyed the films. So
Enjoyed the films. Yeah, speaking of
Vince
everybody's
asked,
talking
when I
about-
was done punching him, when did the ambulance come? Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it with some dude that's a foot shorter than me, 100 pounds or more or less, and over a movie. Not into it. I just wanted someone to put their phone up, man. That's really all it is.
you know how many it seems like we've been in a lot of movies where we had to tell people to like, hey, stop. And I was like, oh,
Now, so when we watched Wayne's World, which we've told you guys about,
the
that
Wayne's
was the
World
worst
guys.
one.
Oh,
So
those guys were buttholes.
There was only a handful of us in Wayne's World for a Fathom event. We were all there to watch a movie that all of us know that we like. We all
like,
know the words
it's
to it.
permissible to be like diddly-doo, diddly-doo,
Yeah, so- and that's what
little,
we said.
yellow, different. Like, you can do those things.
You can hit a quote. You can say something fun. You can laugh out loud or make a quick joke. But they were drunk and drinking in the theater and making all sorts of noise, and it was awful. And I had to tell them a couple times and end up getting management. And they also threatened to fight us as management was kicking them out of the movie theater. But just don't go to the movie if that's how you're going to be. If you're going to be obnoxious, and like we said, if everyone else in the theater could have gotten away, and all of us could have had a great time, they ruined it for a theater full of people.
Yep.
Which none of us got to sing Queen. None of us got
Bohemian
to
Rhapsody was
say
ruined.
thank you. None of us got to
Everything is okay.
none of us got to do anything fun because they took it away from us. So
Well, so I know we're running out of time.
look, my parents say I did like foreign films young,
and my parents say that I was better at movies than you were as a baby because I was cooler.
because she was holding your mouth shut, so you were incapable of movement or noise.
Yo, dude, but I was cooler. I was a cooler baby. Anyway, no. So I did. I wanted to talk about Cobra Kai season 3. I'm gonna make this super brief. I just started watching Cobra Kai season 3, and what I want to say about this before, like, we get Shepherd's Hooked off the air.
Just before Vince said that we now have a mom battle, and it's the new East Coast West Coast rap.
Yeah, thanks, moms, for watching our show.
Our moms get along. Our families get along great.
We raced cars together on New Year's Eve.
We did, yeah. It was a great time.
And I totally smoked your family.
Dude, oh wow! You just started shit.
Oh, man.
Everyone watched it live.
There goes
You
Cobra
just
Kai.
started shit up, dude. It is so on next year. You just wait till I buy my eBay WRX and whoop your bullshit, bro.
Well, anyway, so I watched Cobra.
Oh, she said you were terrible at the movie. You were a cool baby though.
I was a cool baby. I'm still a cool baby. Anyway. So I watched Cobra Kai, and my one sentence thing about Cobra Kai is that Cobra Kai, this show, which is something that we've watched back when it was on YouTube Red, which we've been telling you guys to watch ever since it was on YouTube Red, that now it's on Netflix. Everyone's like, oh, Cobra Kai seems like a thing we should watch. So again, ahead of the times, driving Speakerbox, hashtag we're better.
Don't put that out there.
Hashtag hash brown is something. He goes, hash brown, which is what Johnny says, which is a lot of these Johnny jokes.
That joke's already been used before.
Well, and the thing is he drinks Coors Banquet, and there's a whole thing where he gets mad at a bartender for serving Coors Light, and he asks for Coors Banquet.
Okay, I feel him on this one,
and
man.
I thought about you. I was like, oh my God, Jake's gonna love this. Because he was like,
hey,
light beers for pussies.
Yeah. Hey, for real, if you go to the drive-thru, and you say, I want beer, and you give the name Budweiser, Coors, and they hand you something light.
Yeah.
Well, in the show, the bartender's like, yeah, he's refusing to pay his tab because he asked for Coors, and he says he wanted something called Banquet.
Am I Johnny?
You're Johnny.
That means
you're Johnny.
There's a scene where
Johnny's the coolest.
he's
man.
trying to heal this child, and he takes him to a Dee Snider concert, and literal Dee Snider is in the show, and it's kind of amazing.
Am I Johnny?
You're Johnny, dude. You're freaking Johnny. And but anyway, what I want to say about this movie, the one sentence I want to say about this movie is, like, everybody is in nostalgic fan service. You look at shows like the Mandalorian right now.
Vince clipped us.
And you look at shows like the Mandalorian. You look at all these other things that are trying to do just nostalgic fan service. And I want to go on record and say that Karate Kid, the Cobra Kai season 1, 2, and 3 is writing the textbook of how we need to do fan service, sequel, reboot, whatevers, because they are doing it right in a way that is acknowledging how silly this all is, but also propelling the narrative and making it relevant. And it's so good.
There's interviews with Ralph Macchio about that, and he points out that over the decades since Karate Kid, there has been attempts to do this, and people have approached them with sequel ideas and reboots and things like that. And I guess he has producer rights, and he shot them all down because he said none of them were ever right. And when they were finally approached for the YouTube Red show and were given the script, and they're like, here's the thing, Karate Kid himself, he's a dick now. He sucks because he has a big head and he's a butthole man.
And they're playing into fan service, like weird internet, like conspiracy stuff, but they're doing it tastefully and deftly and writing it into the story. And they're like, all right, let's roll with this. Let's roll with this.
Right. And I've seen those interviews where he said they shot everything down, and this one was finally one where they were like, I like where you put the characters and the potential it has to grow and where it can go from there. And it really feels like it actually picks up the story of what these people would be like. So they took their time with finding the right one instead of just seeing nostalgia bait money, do it now.
Well, and-
who cares about the future or the artistic integrity of that?
Well, and what was really interesting to me is as I'm going through season 3, they bring back Kumiko and Chosen from season or from Karate Kid 2, which is like, how do you rewrite Chosen into? Because this is the dude.
Wait,
like,
who was he? Was he the guy?
No,
that,
he was the dude
the
who's like,
young boy?
oh, 6, and then he's like, I'm gonna take you to the
He's the guy that
Obone
fought
dance.
Daniel,
Yeah,
right?
he was the one
Yeah.
that Sato was like, you're the nephew of me.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
and then they just
Sato slapping the log.
Yeah, and he's like,
the
oh, you're
beach
dead
log.
to me. Because Sato was the bad motherfucker over there that was best friends with Miyagi. Anyway. Miyagi. But they brought Chosen back, the same guy. And they brought Kumiko back, the same lady.
Hey, who is in Star Trek Discovery? If
she
you
is.
ever want to just hate yourself and waste your time and watch Star Trek Discovery.
But they did it in a way that wasn't just merely fan service. It wasn't just like, hey, you remember this person? Here he is. And they were able to incorporate these characters in this narrative that made all of the characters grow and all of the characters progress in a way that seemed natural, that seemed that was organic in a way that you don't get at a lot of these reboot, sequel, prequel, postquels, whatever. It felt like you're revisiting these people 30 years into the future and what would happen. And you know, everything about Cobra Kai is a little bit tongue in cheek. They make fun of like, well, why is everything so centered around karate? It's like, yeah, this is real dumb. But
listen, this town got weird in the 80s.
This
and
town
they just
loves karate.
Yeah, they just went karate crazy.
Yeah, and that's addressed. It's like, okay, well, this is dumb, but let's tell a realistic story about people that, about parenting, about relationships with friends, about high school, about like old grudges, about new grudges, about how hard it is to run your own business, and it's like, damn, you guys are hitting all of these things using something that we all care about, poking fun at it, but making it modern and cool. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, dang, this is some of the most intelligent television that I've seen lately.
I think a lot of that is Ralph Macchio has really done good as a producer, writer, things like that. So I think he brings a lot of that too. And like I said, they waited for the right project rather than just hopping on nostalgia bait and the money train as fast as they kind of could, kind of thing. So.
Well, they use nostalgia bait, unlike what Star Wars is doing, which is like, everybody likes this, so let's just do dumb shit with it.
And a lot of that's Disney, and they're like, oh, you have an expanded universe, established lore, and everything had to be okayed by a central intelligence of Lucas film before it was produced. Screw all that. Now everything's undone. That was your favorite thing? No, it's gone. Jaina and Jason Solo and Anakin Solo, never heard of him. Here's Ben Solo, and he's crap. And here's Rey, and she's crap. Nobody. Oh no, she's not nobody. She's a Palpatine. But she's not a Palpatine now because she chose to be a Skywalker. Fuck you, Disney. Oh, sorry.
F's.
Yeah.
F's PG-13.
Whatever, dude.
PG-13. You had your second Coors back.
Yeah, I'm wasted. Give me my 13. I want my Boba Fett game. I don't want to see trash Boba Fett on screen, Disney. I want my cool teenage early bounty hunter cool boy Boba Fett video game.
Boba Fett. Meow, meow.
Teenage bounty hunter Boba Fett. Teenage bounty hunter Boba Fett.
Hero in a helmet. Boba power.
Level 13 Coruscant. Yeah, I want that.
All right, guys. Well, we probably should go. We're 15 minutes over time. We're having like our parents are making friends with our friends in the comments.
Dude, okay. Hey, not gonna lie. Hey, everyone that's fans of our show, welcome to being friends with my parents. Because every friend of mine and my brothers have always become better friends with our parents.
Dude,
and
that's the exact same.
And
with
then
me.
I show up to my house and my friend's hanging out drinking beer. I'm like, hey, what's up? I didn't know you were coming by. They're like,
and now
just
my mom's
hanging with your
brother
parents.
is in the comments. Like my whole family's here now.
David's cool.
He's
man.
over here like, he's no good to me dead, quoting Boba Fett over here. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. You can always
but Boba Fett was the one that got told to not disintegrate people.
Well, because he wanted to disintegrate people.
Does he disintegrate anyone in Mandalorian?
He has a disintegrator. I think he disintegrates at least one person.
You finally get to see it.
Yeah, it's like, ow. And
is it the little blue
it's
like
the spear
circles?
It's the spear thing. And no, that's the stun setting. Yeah. Dude, didn't you see what Princess Leia got shot with that? That's how they got her. She was like, oh. Anyway, all right. Find us on the social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all those things. You can find us wherever you find your podcasts. You can download us, subscribe to us every week. And you can email us, drivingspeakerbox@gmail.com. And we will, hey, Happy New Year's. Vince over in Twitch says Happy New Year's.
Hit those likes. Hit the subscribe.
Let
your friends know about it. Turn on your notifications. Come back and see us next Monday.
We'll see you guys next week. Happy 2021.